Bonjour à tous. Hello 𝗬𝗠.
Hi.
Thanks for your for sharing this webinar with us. Bonjour à tout le monde. On va pas tarder à commencer. Je vois que la salle de spectateurs est en train de se remplir, donc on va attendre une petite minute complémentaire. Il y a encore des personnes qui se connectent. On va commencer dans une minute. Let's start in 1 minute, 𝗬𝗠. People are
Okay.
still arriving.
Yeah.
Ok, c'est stable. Ok, let's start. Merci à tous d'avoir pris le temps de participer à ce webinaire en partenariat avec MClimate et Dataprint. Je suis 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰𝗵, le directeur général de Dataprint, accompagné de 𝗬𝗠. Ce webinaire va se dérouler en anglais. Je ferai quelques points de traduction et la présentation de Dataprint en français. On pourra échanger à la fin de ce webinaire sur une session questions-réponses que l'on pourra faire en français cette fois-ci. Je m'occuperai de traduire si nécessaire pour obtenir les réponses de 𝗬𝗠. Nous pouvons démarrer désormais. Let's start, 𝗬𝗠. C'est 𝗬𝗠 qui a le contrôle du slide.
Okay.
Petite présentation de Dataprint. Donc, nous sommes une société française fondée en 1967. J'ai rejoint l'aventure Dataprint en 2013 après le rachat par la société 4DB et nous avons pris une grosse orientation LoRaWAN dès l'année 2013-2014. Nous avons signé un partenariat avec MClimate en 2021 et notre position sur le marché, nous sommes distributeurs grossistes de tous les matériels 4G et LoRaWAN. Notre siège est basé à Biarritz. Nous avons une équipe de 11 personnes et les commerciaux sont répartis sur la France. Donc, tout le back-office est basé au siège de Biarritz. Les grosses étapes qui nous attendent l'année prochaine, notamment la construction d'un nouveau bâtiment de 800 mètres carrés qui va nous permettre d'accompagner la croissance du marché de l'IoT et la croissance de Dataprint, bien évidemment, puisque nous suivons ce marché de très près depuis cette dernière dizaine d'années. Next slide, please. Thanks. Dataprint est forgé sur une équipe d'experts de l'IoT. Depuis le départ, nous avons recruté nos collaborateurs autour des spécificités de l'IoT. Vous connaissez probablement Laurent Vitali, qui fait partie de l'équipe, qui est un ancien de chez Adonis, Jérémy Sicard, également, qui est un ancien de chez Synox. Donc, ça nous permet d'avoir une visibilité transverse sur tous les besoins de nos clients et nous pouvons travailler sur l'ensemble des marchés qui nous intéressent aujourd'hui. Dataprint est spécialisé sur les infrastructures et les capteurs. Nous avons fait le choix d'une certaine euh, d'une vingtaine d'alliances aujourd'hui de partenaires fournisseurs dans le monde de l'IoT, ciblés sur les usages et les besoins de nos clients. Donc, nous cherchons à compléter régulièrement ce catalogue. Nous faisons entrer deux, trois constructeurs tous les ans afin d'accompagner les nouveaux usages autour de la technologie LoRaWAN, puisque c'est la forte demande qui nous est faite aujourd'hui sur le marché français. Travaillons un petit peu à l'export également, mais la priorité reste le marché français qui est en plein essor. Voilà pour la présentation de Dataprint. Si vous avez d'autres questions ou besoin de plus d'informations, vous pouvez consulter notre site web dataprint.fr ou vous pouvez me poser des questions à la fin de cette session. Merci de votre attention. Je passe la main à 𝗬𝗠. Thanks,
Thanks,
𝗬𝗠.
Alok. Yeah. Um, yeah, a few words before that. I just want to also thank you. We've been partners for a few years now, And yeah, we've seen a lot of support, um, not only commercial but also technical support. And I really want to thank you for helping distribute our solutions in the French market. You've been a great partner, and yeah, just big thanks.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to you.
It's a pleasure, and I'm happy we're organizing this webinar. And yeah, I'm sorry I'm not speaking French, but just a short presentation about the company and what we do. And then we're going to focus on the two new devices we brought to the market. But yeah, MClimate, I founded the company 10 years ago. And, we're from Bulgaria. And we also manufacture here in Bulgaria. But in the beginning, we were more focused on devices with Wi-Fi technology, more of a smart home and business to customer approach. And yeah, around 2018, we started receiving some requests for entire buildings. And around 2017, we actually found LoRaWAN. And then, since we had the experience with Wi-Fi, we could really easily benchmark the two technologies, and we saw a lot of advantages in using LoRaWAN compared to Wi-Fi for smart building projects. But yeah, we're not a very big company. We're about 30 people in R&D and back office. And then we subcontract the manufacturing to an experienced manufacturer here in Bulgaria. And there we estimate that we employ indirectly between 50 and 250 people, depending on, the manufacturing season, so to say. And so far, we've installed a little bit over 500,000 um, devices. And we have the experience. It's not that we just develop devices, but we also have a lot of devices in more than, I would say, 3,000 buildings right now. And yeah, it's a pleasure. And our mission essentially is to decarbonize buildings. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to create devices that are, giving you insight into the building, and not only sensors, but we're actually more focused on actuators because, decarbonization of buildings, it might happen only with monitoring, but also control. In our opinion, it's very important. And our portfolio, we divide it in four main categories. But the first one is the indoor climate optimization, where we have a very nice radiator thermostat. It is compatible with most wet radiators, and you can adjust the temperature from there. It has about 10-year of battery life. And yeah, then we have a simple temperature and humidity sensor, which we call the HT. Again, battery power device. And since we're trying to create, innovative things, we also, one of the limiting factors in LoRaWAN is definitely the battery life. We can achieve 10 years, of course, with the right environment. But not a lot of people are, believing this. So we decided to go the extra mile and create devices that don't have batteries. And the wireless thermostat was the first device that we created like this. This device is fully powered by a solar panel. It has a temperature, humidity sensor. It measures the light as well, since it's, through the solar panel. It has a movement sensor as well. And it has electronic paper display where people can adjust what is the target temperature. And this target temperature can be sent to a wiki, can be sent to another device, or it can be just directly sent to the BMS and serve another purpose. We also have another thermostat for fan coils. I call this one the hotel thermostat, because in most hotels you go, you see the thermostat on the wall where you have the control of the fan speed, typically 3 speeds, and a knob or maybe some type of display for the target temperature. But with this device, basically we've seen hotels gaining monitoring and control capabilities of all their rooms in a matter of day. although this device is not with batteries, it's directly wired into the mains. It is, pretty easy for installation. Essentially, all the wires are already there from the existing thermostat. And this is great. This is the way to achieve energy efficiency. Essentially, of course, you monitor your premises, but you can also control them. Then the second category we have is the water control. There we have a simple shut-off valve, which is designed to work for 12 years in the worst conditions, SF12. And we also have a flood sensor, which essentially when there is water below the device, it sends an uplink message. And then if you wish, you can send a downlink to the T-valve to stop it. Obviously, flooding prevention is one of the use cases we have. Sometimes it's just sensing floods. But another use case of the T-valve, it's also Legionella control and prevention, because it has a temperature sensor of the water, and essentially some of our integrators are using it for flushing pipes. That's a nice use case it has. We have the air quality and CO2 monitoring part of our portfolio, which again has one sensor, which is with batteries. This is the CO2 sensor. It is a typical sensor. It has a traffic light, so green, yellow, or red. It has a check button, and it has the long battery life as the other devices. And then we have the CO2 display, which is, again, solar powered. Again, has the temperature, humidity, CO2, e-paper display. We have the CO2 display light, which has a smaller display, and the CO2 display, the bigger one, and also the wireless thermostat. We decided in the beginning to leave the space for batteries inside, because we also were hesitant about the solar panels and how they would work. But once we, installed a few thousand, we saw that they work really, really well. And then we got more ambitious and went to the CO2 display light, which has no option for batteries. Because the truth is that the solar, in most cases, it is enough to work on as high as SF9. And in some countries like to the north, they get a little bit less sunlight, so maybe there you just select that you want to receive the data every 20 minutes instead of every 10 minutes. But it's surprising how those solar power devices are actually lowering the need for future visits, or completely removing the need for future visits and changes of batteries. Be it every 10 years, it's still an extra cost for the total cost of ownership for a project. And then the last category of devices we have is the automation devices. Those are a little bit more generic. We have the open-close sensor, which has temperature reading. It reads if a door or window is open or closed. It also counts the amounts of opens and closes. And we have a multi-purpose button, which when you click it, whatever you want can happen. I mean, it just sends an uplink, and then it depends on your system what you want to do. And there we have the two new devices, which I'm going to go into details a little bit later. But to tell you, we essentially have two ways of working. First, we sell only hardware. And this hardware, we make sure that it's high quality hardware, and the manufacturing is done at the highest standard. And this hardware, it's with open protocol, which means that it can be integrated into any system you want. And then the second way we work with partners is, we're both selling hardware and software. And in this case, our software is kind of an add-on to the hardware. It's not like a full-fledged, standalone IoT platform. It only controls and connects to our products. And the reason we did it is to show in a nice way how we think an IoT platform might, be useful to work, to look. And another case is like sometimes we cannot embed some features into the hardware, and we the enterprises allows us to add features on the software side. And the way and the key partners we're having is first distributors, just like Dataprint, in some key geographies like Germany, UK, and Nordics, and France. But usually our partners are like utilities, utility service companies, telecoms. We have a few telecoms which have adopted LoRaWAN and are very happy with it, which a few years ago was something you cannot really say out loud. And then we have the facility management companies. Kind of third type of companies we work with is the energy efficiency companies, or so-called ESCOs. And we work very successfully with them because essentially they make their profit from the savings of energy they've generated for a building. So with our products, we unlock a lot of savings. I say that we unlock an easy 30% of savings in every building, which essentially is done mostly through the thermostats. But you can still get good savings just by monitoring systems. And then in recent years, we have more and more PMS companies, system integrators that are used to working with Modbus, BACnet, etc. But thanks to a few nice companies that are creating solutions like to translate LoRaWAN into BACnet or Modbus, they like us. They like our products, and they like them because they can essentially create a room-by-room control, which is very important for energy savings, but also for comfort, and I think also for common sense. I've seen buildings like university buildings, which a few classrooms are occupied, and then they have a system where they can heat up the whole building or no part of the building. And yeah, for the last 10 years, we accumulated some nice partners. Here, I'm going to be short. I'm just going to say that I think the reason why those companies are happy with us, I'm going to speak about quality a little bit later, but it's mostly thanks to the battery life that we unlock. We invest a lot of resources, focus money into making sure that the devices use the batteries in the most efficient ways. But about quality, essentially, this has been a topic for us for quite a while now, and we have a few OEM partners that are requiring super high quality rules, not only ISO 9001, but also some automotive rules. And yeah, we did the ISO 9001 and 14001 certification this year. But I think important when it comes to quality, it's important to say that we have embraced this mindset that our customers, our partners, we should all implement this philosophy of you have to install it and forget about it. It should work from the first time. And the reason for this is that visits usually to the customer are very costly. Sometimes customers are far away, but yeah, we are not the cheapest on the market, and there is a reason for this. We don't put the cheapest materials into products. We're not after the profit, so to say. We are more focused on the mission. But I think that, I mean, we've seen a lot of cases where customers decide to go for the cheapest product, and then they have a failed project, which at the end might be very expensive. We also, we try to future-proof our solutions, and a part of this is the firmware update over the air mechanism. And we have updated tens of thousands of our devices with newest firmwares. Essentially, when we launch a new firmware, without visiting the site, you can, with a few buttons, you can start the update process. And then if we have let in a bug, or if we have implemented a new feature, which is most of the cases, without visits, you just push the Volta, and then in about a day, your entire building is with the newest firmware version, which is always the best case. We're doing a lot of reliability testing as well. So we're doing accelerated live testing, highly accelerated stress testing as well, which means essentially we're trying to, when we're launching a product, but also in ongoing manufacturing, We archive the products, we put them in accelerated testing, live testing chambers, which is usually cycling of the temperature and humidity to extremes. And we essentially, in a matter of a month, we're able to test, a few years of usage. And yeah, we approach the engineering of our products like we're creating rockets, meaning that we're testing the limits, we're trying to make things explode, to break, to find the limits, and to accumulate this knowledge and figure out how to improve them in the long term. And yeah, I mean, so far we have tested most of the products we have simulated 25 years of real life usage, which I can get into more details now, but I'm not gonna because I'm passionate about this. But it's a deep subject, how to simulate, how to accelerate the testing of a product. In our, so to say, philosophy, why do we want to decarbonize buildings? Essentially because we know that buildings contribute to big CO2 levels. And then in the meantime, we see a lot of potential. We see a lot of wasted energy inside buildings. And yeah, for ESG, obviously we have our path. We did the ISO 14001 certification, but now we want to achieve the B Corp certification. And ideally, we want to be it's a long process, it's a hard process, but we want to publish life cycle assessments of all of our products, meaning we want to certify exactly how much CO2 is emitted during manufacturing of plastics, of PCBs, of everything. So at the end, you can, do the ROI not only on energy and money, but also on CO2. And yeah, we have a lot of use cases, a lot of installed devices. Sometimes it's hard to actually collect all the data. But Loic, maybe you can help me with success we have had in France together with you.
Yes, together we already achieved some interesting project and numbers of the deployment of Wiki, Wiki device, which is becoming very popular in Europe and in France. We've made an hospital deployment recently in France for more than 1,000 devices, but it's not only that. It's a typical deployment. In France, there is lots of building based on water heating systems. So, and especially if you think about old building, if you think about public building, they are most of the times deployed with this type of heating systems. Then there is a huge opportunities, and this year is the year where the Wiki is really starting in France to be deployed. It takes times because of course customers and integrators have to get the knowledge of the LoRaWAN technology first. Before
Yeah.
deploying device, they have to know how to do a LoRaWAN and pilot control a LoRaWAN network. This is not only the success. We are really appreciating also the latest FCT product, the fine
Mm.
coil thermostat, which is really starting well for us in France too. It's a very technical product. What you've done is just amazing. Is a very interesting use case. And again, in this type of building, we have lots of chance to deploy this device because it's made to control big heating systems, ventilation systems. So we have more and more project every days in these devices. The the product you have with the CO2 display powered by himself is interesting for sure. There is more and more, as you say, there is more and more people who are looking to save some costs, but not only. It's in order to reduce the number of battery deployed. It's good to have a solar panel solution from you guys. So it's pretty exciting. We are actually moving forward really quickly with the partner MClimate partnership. It's very interesting. So and I see your success over Europe. Europe is increasing every day too. So it's win-win
It's
opportunities.
Yeah, to a large extent, it's thanks to partners like you. Essentially, we want to be the manufacturer. We want to focus on the quality of the products. Obviously, we gather some insight about legislation in different countries, from different partners about ways. Obviously, we have ideas on how to improve, let's say, the installation process in a building, and we try to share them with the community. But yeah, I think the one of the success factors that we're having is that we keep the protocol fully open. And although we have the software we don't try to sell it. We try to use it as a quick way to do POCs to install buildings. Oh, okay, we have a few hundred buildings on the enterprise right now. But this is not our goal. Our goal is to unlock integrators with high quality hardware for decarbonization. And yeah, here are some real projects. Usually they report savings of about 30%, sometimes up to 40% of savings, but it's nice to see real buildings because we ship the pallets from here, but then we rarely know exactly where the devices are going. So we try to collect case studies. If there's somebody on the call who is using our devices and in real installations, and if you want to help create a case study together, so you can use it also as a marketing material. We would be happy to help. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's your turn.
Again, it's very exciting. Je vais basculer en français juste sur quelques mots concernant les bâtiments intelligents avec le LoRaWAN, la spécialité du moment. Euh, c'est aujourd'hui euh, les bâtiments doivent être plus intelligents pour nous permettre de réaliser des économies d'énergie, pour nous permettre de surveiller les installations et de garantir un confort d'utilisation pour les occupants. Donc c'est aujourd'hui le challenge qui nous attend et c'est le challenge de demain surtout. Je parle d'aujourd'hui parce qu'on a réellement mis le pied dans les bâtiments intelligents depuis quelques années déjà. On sort la semaine dernière, nous étions sur le salon IBS à Paris. On peut voir désormais que c'est du domaine c'est de l'actualité. Donc on a eu beaucoup encore de visites pour découvrir la technologie LoRaWAN, mais aussi pour découvrir les cas d'usage qui vont avec le LoRaWAN. Can you put the next slide, please? Pourquoi le LoRaWAN dans ce domaine d'activité? Dans les bâtiments, tout simplement parce que c'est une technologie sans fil. On l'a déjà dit, faible consommation, longue portée, mais surtout résilience radio. Ça veut dire que vous avez la capacité, enfin c'est une technologie qui a la capacité d'être très résiliente et de pénétrer les bâtiments de manière très forte et fiable. Ça va vous permettre, bien sûr, c'est aussi une technologie sécurisée et qui est en fait la communication entre les capteurs et les gateways sont cryptées, donc c'est une technologie sécurisée à ce niveau. C'est vraiment l'objectif, c'est de pouvoir équiper les bâtiments existants, parce que vous allez trouver de la technologie filaire dans les bâtiments aujourd'hui, mais dans les vieux bâtiments, le LoRaWAN va venir tirer son épingle du jeu, parce que ça va vous permettre de prendre le contrôle des bâtiments et de prendre la température des bâtiments, de prendre toutes les informations nécessaires pour ensuite pouvoir agir sur les bâtiments. Là, on est en train de vivre, et c'est ce qu'on va vous présenter avec les deux produits de MClimate aujourd'hui, la bascule vers le pilotage des bâtiments. Ça fait plusieurs années maintenant qu'on fait du LoRaWAN pour télé-relever les informations et commencer à collecter de la donnée au travers des différents capteurs de température, de CO2, les capteurs qui vont aller sur les chaudières pour avoir les températures des chaudières, des ballons d'eau chaude, etc. À partir de maintenant, on va venir commencer à piloter les bâtiments. Et c'est là où ça devient beaucoup plus technique et beaucoup plus immersif. C'est hyper intéressant en ce sens. On a les deux produits de MClimate là, qui viennent d'arriver fraîchement sur le marché, qui sont dédiés à ce pilotage des éléments dans le bâtiment. Lubomir va vous faire une présentation plus précise de ces produits. Aujourd'hui, la technologie LoRa a convaincu le marché français et même plus. Et l'ouverture de protocoles avec la standardisation LoRaWAN, c'est devenu un véritable standard et c'est ce sur quoi travaille MClimate depuis le début. C'est pour ça qu'on a à cœur de travailler avec MClimate parce qu'ils ont rempli toutes ces cases qui vont nous permettre de répondre aux besoins de nos clients.
So I'm not sure I understood everything, but also have some ideas to add. I think we've come to this stage,
Yes.
thanks to yeah, I mean, a few years ago when we were starting, we everybody was wondering, is this thing LoRaWAN is going to work? And I think now, 2024, almost 25, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of examples where it worked. And I think it unlocks some very interesting use cases. But to the focus of today's webinar is the 16 ASPM and 16 ADS. Here are the devices. We've made them as small as possible. They are essentially the same size. The difference is the obviously the color, but also the functionality and the wiring. So I'm gonna skip this slide and come back to it later, but I just wanna maybe for the more technical people show this slide, which shows the difference. So in the case of the 16 amps switch and power meter, so first, both of them are switches. And second, both of them can control up to 16 amps. But the difference is that in the case of the 16 ASPM, here we have first, we have an electricity meter. And second, it essentially has three terminals. It has L, N, and then we have two N in the middle, but they're the same N. And then we have L out. So it's important to mention, whatever you power with this device, it's just gonna go through the device and then come back to L out. We have two N terminals for easier wiring, essentially to have less connections outside the relay. And then in the case of the 16 ADS, it's a little bit different because there is one circuit that essentially powers the device, and then the device controls entirely different circuit. So this circuit may be, some type of control circuit, might be digital, might be anything you wish, but it's not related at all with the circuit that powers the device. This is the difference. One we call switched live, which means whatever you power it with, this is what comes at the end, at the exit. And then the 16 ADS, it is a dry switch, meaning that you can wire whatever you want, but it's going to be a separate circuit compared to the one that powers the device. And now, if I come back to this, you can see both are as small as possible, essentially. I have my AirPods for comparison, and you can see, the difference. But we try to make it so small so you can put it in console boxes behind switches, outlets, etc. But second, it was very important for us to make it 16 amps so that in most EU countries, the circuits, the individual circuit breakers are 16 amps. So for us, it was like if we put this, you can install it almost everywhere in a residential or commercial building. But both devices are LoRaWAN Class C, which means that they're listening all the time. You can have real-time communication with them. In Class A, like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 what it does, it's when it sends a message, this is when it can receive a command. This is for Wiki, but here you can send commands all the time. So if you connect it with, let's say, a button, a multi-purpose button. And you say, when I click the button, turn on the relay, it's going to happen almost immediately. The latency here in class C, it's 0 to none, essentially. Both devices can be powered with AC voltage or with DC voltage. So AC goes from 110 to 240, and DC goes from 24 to 30 volts. And they can both switch AC or DC voltage as well. So for AC, the maximum is 16 amps, and for DC, it's 10 amps. When it comes to power, it's this 16 ASPM can control and also monitor the electricity of up to 3.8 kilowatts of power. I'm sorry, which is again most things. A water heater, electric space heater. It's at the high end, and both of them support a firmware upgrade over the air. And the float here happens very quickly because the devices are listening all the time. So the gateway can just, send them the firmware, and yeah. Then we have only for the 16 ASPM, which is the switch and power meter or relay. Switch to us, it's technically it's a better term, but also sounds better. But in some countries, obviously, we call those relays. But in the 16 ASPM, you get the kilowatt hours, you get the voltage, you get the amps, and you get also the power. It's a real electricity meter inside. It has the precision of an MID certified meter, which is used for creating bills. But we cannot certify it for MID because it doesn't have a display. If we had a display, we could have certified it. But when it comes to the accuracy, it's the same. We have again invested into high quality materials, high quality components. So the relay, it's UL and Q certified, and the terminals are UL and VDE certified. And VDE, it's a German standard for electrical installations. And both of the devices have over temperature protection. In case, over temperature, it is important in case there is a loose connection most of the time, or if the cable chosen is smaller than the load that it has to control. But the 16 ASPM, the one with the power meter, it also has over voltage, over power, and over current protection. Here, I think I made it clear, but just to tell you the exact difference. First one is with wet contacts or live or switched live, and the 16 ADS is with dry contacts. Both of them are the same size. Both of them have the FOTA, and both of them have over temperature protection, but the 16 ASPM has also a few other protections as well. And the 16 ASPM has electricity meter. And I wanted to also give you a few examples of what you can control, what we have came up with. But I'm sure, given that those are simple switches, simple relays, and okay, one has also electricity meter, you can control all types of things with it. Those are our ideas, but you let us know what you control with them, because we want to show. But obviously, space heaters, if you want maybe not to control, but to monitor outlets in the office now, every single outlet is monitored. If you want to control wet underfloor heating systems, or maybe electric underfloor heating systems, you can do it with those devices. One of the use cases we've seen before development was demand-driven ventilation, so controlling fans, extracting fans based on the CO2 levels inside the room, and also electric space heaters, which I can talk about. Electric water heaters. I can talk about electric water heaters for hours, because they're really interesting. They're kind of like batteries, but nobody still uses them like batteries. But yeah, the key use case why we did this is the space heaters. So we had some partners that are installing a specific type of building. let's say, nursing homes. And then it turned out that in this country, the nursing homes, although the majority of the country is heating with wet radiators, which can be controlled with Vicky, it turned out that most of those homes are actually being heated up with electric space heaters. So we had to come up with a solution to control electric space heaters. And in this case, it's the 16 ASPM because you can also monitor, but you have a wireless thermostat on the wall where you set the temperature. And essentially, if the target temperature is higher than what is being sensed in the room, then this one, sorry, the wireless thermostat can send a command, can send a signal to the server, and the server can send a signal to the 16 ASPM to turn on the electric space heater. But we're also working on direct device-to-device communication. I just before the webinar showed a demo to Loic, and it is working pretty well. It's still in testing, but very soon a wireless thermostat from MClimate is going to be able to directly talk with the relays we have. And I don't know, Loic, have you heard of other? Maybe you were just at IBS, I think.
Yeah,
Have you heard some? Yeah.
we got different requests, especially to the device. But thinking about building, here we are talking about domestic building, house. But building is also industrial building, and we got some interesting requests in the industrial building market for pump control, uh,
Mhm.
different big machine control in order to save energy and eventually to restart machine also remotely.
Mhm.
Of course, there is this huge market of domestical building um, to control systems like water heating systems or electric heating systems. Um, it's again, it's the perfect product today because it's a 16 amps. This is a very important point to notice. Thanks to this, we can control the majority of the device into a domestic house. Um, and it makes sense now to get the control because this is the next step. We need to control the building. So
Yeah.
so you already have the thermostat, you already have the temperature sensors. Now we can control device thanks to this new product, and uh,
Yeah.
and good surprise, you can count the energy with, which is just the cherries on the cake, as I said. You can in plus of powering on and off your heating systems, you can know how it consumes. So
Yeah.
it's good to know. It's always good to know for the same price. So it's nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. No, it's an amazing product. Very small, easy to implement. It's a typical electrical material. It's not anymore an IoT device without knowledge about what electricity people needs to have. It's an
Mm.
electricity device compatible with the new world of wireless connectivities and then LoRaWAN, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's we
It,
are very excited about these new devices.
well, we pick and chose everything kind of in the decisions how to design the product was we were thinking about the installer all the time, to be
Mm.
honest. And we're like, okay, let's choose those terminals because they're easier to install. They can use the bigger screwdriver, and we just wanted to use the best actually materials available. But yeah, I want to repeat, it's an open protocol, meaning that you get the full specification, you get all the functionalities that the device has, and you don't have to connect it to our cloud. It can be integrated into any system, including BMS systems, where I think maybe it's gonna find potential in the BMS market. Not sure if it's gonna be the same like Wiki, because in Wiki they see the potential to, split a bigger space into smaller spaces, room by room control. And here, I hope maybe if it's electrical heaters. And I want to speak just 2 minutes about the installation, just to say First, I think installation should be done by certified electricians because it is electrical device. Second, obviously turn off the breaker and make sure there is no potential, no voltage on the wires. And you can use both single core or stranded wires. I'm not sure how it's popular to say it in France, but you can use both. If you use stranded wires, we advise you on using ferrules on top. And then since it's 16 amps, choose the size of the cable depending on the load. If you use a super thin cable for 16 amps, it's just gonna burn. So make the appropriate decision. Then don't install two cables into one terminal. This is the reason why we have two ends here, because we don't want people to put two cables into one terminal. And then, those are essentially pages from the user manual. The device itself, it has an LED right here next to the button, which shows you the status of the connection, if it has connected to the LoRaWAN network or not. If you press the button for 10 seconds, it's going to send another join request. And then if you click the button twice, it's going to switch on or off the load. And in the user manual also, we put this table of what we recommend in terms of types of cables. And in our stress tests, we have done all types of tests. We have tried to pass 16 amps through 1 mm² cable just to see how the device is going to happen. And when it's going to fail, I'm sorry. And we know with 1 mm², it's going to fail. With this small cross section in the electricity books in university, they tell you have to use at least 1.5 or 2.5. But depending on the national legislation, pick and choose well, and then screw the terminals well. And I'm not going to talk about this, but essentially you have the diagram on the device, and then you have the user manual, which tells you if it blinks like this, what does it mean? And this is one of the things I wanted to show. I'm very excited about this. This is from the actually what the device is sending, and this is in the IoT platform. But here we can see first this device. I'm going to show a few. But this device is controlling the logo we have on the building. So you can see how the temperature, the red line, drops, during the night, and then how it heats up during the day. The blue regions are when the device is on. So we put it on schedule. I think from midnight until 7 in the morning, it's on, and then it's off. And then you can see how the green line, which is the accumulated energy, rises every day by a little bit. So now we know exactly how much energy is this logo costing us. And we see the voltage, the power, and the amps, which are being drawn from the logo. It's interesting, but this is a device which is installed in our office in one of the sockets. And just analyzing the data, we were like, okay, why is there a temperature drop every morning, essentially? So we found out that whenever the cleaning lady comes in and opens the window, through the actual outlets, there is a little bit of draft, which cools down the devices. Just this is what I wanted to mention about this installation. You can see some really interesting data about, just by looking at the voltage even, you can understand certain things about the building. And this device is installed in one of the tables we have in the office. There are 4 working stations there, and essentially we can see when somebody's when did the first person come into the into the office, when did they turn off the computers, but essentially also, okay, how much energy we understand better. And the last device, it looks the wildest. So this is, we have connected 3 things here. There is a fridge, there is a microwave, and there is also a water cooling station, a water dispenser. So you can see those periodical heat runs. We think it's the fridge compressor kicking in. Then those small spikes are the water cooler just heating up and cooling, heating up the water and then cooling also it has. Yeah. And then the big spikes is when somebody is using the microwave. Um, yeah, it's crazy how much you can tell by just looking at a picture like this. And yeah, with this, I finished everything I wanted to say. So if we have any questions, if you have any questions, feel free to yeah, ask them in the Q&A section.
Yes, oui, allez-y si vous avez des questions concernant les deux produits ou d'autres produits ou les sociétés MClimate et Dataprint. N'hésitez pas, nous allons prendre notre clavier. Mon ami Laurent est également connecté. Donc, si vous avez des questions complémentaires, on a encore quelques minutes sur le slot jusqu'à 16 heures. N'hésitez pas. No question for the moment.
That's okay. You can reach out to Loic. Loic has and his team have always been very big help for us to support the customers. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy you learned all of our devices, and now you have two new to uh, yeah, to learn. But
Merci, merci beaucoup pour votre écoute. Effectivement, ces produits-là sont dorénavant disponibles en stock. Donc, si vous avez des besoins, n'hésitez pas à revenir vers notre équipe. Ah, une question. Pensez-vous ajouter la mesure de fréquence? Are you going to measure the frequency? Is
the
it
frequency of
possible?
the supply,
I think so.
um, I have to ask the
Engineer.
engineers, but we might already be measuring it. I'm sure we are not reporting it,
Mm,
but I
mm, mm,
have to
mm.
ask and tell you. Yeah.
It's probably a question. Ok, on va revenir vers vous avec cette question. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous envoyer la question sur dataprint@dataprint.fr? Éventuellement, on vous fera un retour directement par email. Euh, sur ce point précisément, je prends note. On aura votre adresse email de toute façon. D'autres questions peut-être? No, it's okay. No more question, Lubomir. Thanks a lot for this session. It was really interesting to really see the difference in between those two devices. Um, let's keep in touch and see if there is more question after.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you again, Lloyd,
Thanks for your
for
time. Thanks for your time. It's a
this
pleasure.
webinar. Yeah.
Merci à tout le monde.
Thank you, everybody.
Au plaisir de vous revoir. À bientôt. Bonne journée.